Secrets to Abundant Living podcast community. You have heard it before. Real estate is all about location, 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 right? But now it is also about timing, and the timing has never been better. When the Fed tripled interest rates in 2022, investors who took on short term bridge debt in 21, 22, and 23, they got caught. And those loans are maturing now, and some of those owners, unfortunately, are in trouble. This means discounted apartment deals are hitting the market in 2026 and 2027. We're having lots of interesting conversations with lenders who are taking back properties. And savvy commercial real estate investors are going to want to be ready to scoop up those properties. That's why I'm hosting a free 3-part passive investor masterclass to give you the step-by-step blueprint that I use, that other passive investors have successfully used to analyze these investment opportunities like a pro. My goal is to make you feel safe, prepared, and that you can make the best decision for yourself and your wealth. The first live session is Wednesday, April 8th at 11 a.m. Pacific. Spots are limited, so I want you to save your spot today. The link is in the show notes. Don't miss this window, and I'm really excited to see you at this live masterclass training. Secrets to Abundant Living podcast community. I'm overjoyed to talk to you all today. As a reminder, my name is Amy Sylvis. I'm the founder and CEO of Sylvis Capital. We connect investors to hands-off real estate investment opportunities. And you all may recall Bob Burg, the author of the Go-Giver series and a guest on this podcast. I had the great fortune of him introducing me to Justin Michael, an author, incredible person. And he's our guest today, if you can believe it. I'm just overjoyed to have you here today and talk through a lot of the great insights you have for our community on abundance and related topics. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a joy to be here, and I'm a big fan of Bob Burg. He changed my life. In 2021, I finally read The Go-Giver,
Yeah.
and I was like, I should have read this thing 10 years ago. And he just left a review of my book, and he said he wished he had my book in his 20s, and that was a huge honor.
Oh my goodness. Well, I've got one of well, I'll ask you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more, but I've got one of your books right here that I just got finished reading that I'm incredibly impressed by. But can you tell us a little bit more about yourself for those who don't know you?
Yeah, so I have been mainly known as a sales leader. I sold technology for 20 years. I worked at companies like Salesforce and LinkedIn and sold a lot of software in the software as a service revolution, San Francisco, New York. I even worked in the Empire State Building. The last 6 years, I've written 10 books. I've written a lot about sales for technology salespeople, but also for consultants and solopreneurs. And recently, my latest 2 books are about frame psychology, and this new one is about what I call ontology, which is the science of consciousness. Sounds like a big word, but we're talking about identity, being, becoming who you really are and what you think of yourself, and how that influences your life. I've had 3 acts in my life. I was a musician. Do you want to realize that? And
Wow.
then I was really in sales deeply for 20 years. And then for the last 6 years, I've done coaching and consulting. And my practice really focuses on building wealth and abundance. And usually the vehicle of that is sales and client acquisition. It's 500 million small businesses I think we all sell. But this book is not about that. You could give this book to anyone on the planet and they'd benefit.
Incredible. Wow. And you look really young. I don't know if you look to be in your 30s, but what an amazing,
I'm 46.
are you really?
So yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right. Well, I got that wrong. I was going to say you've had a lot that you've accomplished. 46 is extremely young. I'm 44. So we're around the same age, but congratulations on all your success and especially on this new book. Like you said, an endorsement by the great Bob Burg, who all of us just admire. I mean, my goodness. But you and I were talking a little bit before we hit record about several things I'd love to unpack. I think most of us have heard about manifestation. Some have even, practiced that over the years, but you've got quite a different take that, at least for me personally, and I think for our audience, will really resonate because, well, let's go through it. But can you tell us a little bit more kind of about that different take or what prompted you to go in a little bit of a different direction with manifestation?
So quick story. So 20 years ago, I met Jack Canfield at a charity dinner, and he
Oh,
gave me the secret DVD before it was released. 6 weeks later, I met Haley Byrne, Rhonda Byrne's daughter, and then I got to spend time with Rhonda Byrne.
wow.
And she turned me on to this book called The Science of Getting Rich by
Okay.
Wallace Wattles in 1910, which
Yeah.
is somewhat of what it's inspired by.
Yeah.
I read that book 500 times, and I went off and I applied a lot of the principles. I used a lot of music for manifestations. If you know about solfeggio or sacred frequencies, 528 hertz, 432 hertz, these things kind of align your chakras and put you into an alpha or theta state.
Mm.
People don't realize that Salvador Dali slept with a key on the metal plate to try to get into a dream state. Neville Goddard, before bed, the pruning shears of revision would kind of rerun his day. We'd see athletes kind of the F1 drivers running the track in their mind. So
Yeah.
the whole law of attraction thing has sold 300 million books. It's been massive. My book has kind of a spicy title like rewriting the law of attraction, but what it is there's deeper law. So there's a law of assumption, and Wayne Dyer had a book, Assume the Wish Fulfilled, and that comes right out of the Bible and many religious texts. And then there's a law of being or becoming. So if you look at Max von Maltz, who did psychocybernetics, or you look at the Surrender Experiment by Michael A. Singer, Sid Banks from the Three Principles, where we're going is that your identity and your perception of yourself is more powerful than your thoughts. So Jeff Bezos has billions and he has thoughts like, hey, Jeff, you're not cutting it. He has those thoughts. But on a
Mm.
deep level, who he is, he believes himself to be a billionaire. He has the identity. And so that's what a lot of my work is focused on because I have people trying to close deals with these millionaires or raise a ton of money and go in these high stakes situations. But in their heart of hearts, they doubt and they're not sure if they can do it. So this book has the concept of the phoenix rising, which is like burning out the ashes of the old life. And it's a lot of reflections on looking at yourself and who you truly are and who would you have to be or become to achieve the life that you want. But
Yeah.
then I put a huge twist on it, which for religious folks of any faith, there's a higher power.
Yeah.
Do you believe it's favorable to you, pronoia, the not paranoia, but pronoia? The universe is plotting to do you good. Now, if it's favorable to you, wouldn't you have faith in the goal and
Mm.
then the direction to it? So, like, human beings are like this. We're all in this big cosmic river and we're in canoes and there's wind blowing and we're canoeing more. We're getting motors and going fast. And then a few people are like, I think I'm just going to jump out of the canoe, float in the current. Oh, there's this big sea out here, this cosmic serenity. Like, what's all this? And so people are kind of grinding and muscling and
Yes.
visualizing and saying I am statements and listening to subliminal messaging music. And that's great. But just like your office you're in right now, you didn't move to the office, move to the other office, move to your house, move back to the other one. You made a decision in location.
Uh-huh.
But strangely, we as human beings go like, I think I can make $1 million. Oh, not really. I think I can do it. And we kind of vacillate on these big topics like abundance. We doubt, can we be abundant? But abundant is law. It's like your birthright. You're insulating the currency. You're stopping yourself from that flow of energy
Right.
through self-limitation, self-sabotage, all that good stuff. So that's the distinction.
I think, at least for me personally, this resonates so strongly. I know in the book you mentioned, I think something to the effect of trying to control your reality is actually a weakness signal to life. And, for those who don't know my story, you may not yourself, but I was born with a pretty severe lung condition. When I was born, I was supposed to live to be around 8 or 9 years old. I'm now 44. There's been a lot of hustle I've had to have in my health to do breathing treatments, get out there and exercise, advocate for myself. And I've applied that, or I used to business of like this hustle and this grind and making it happen. And you and I talked about before we hit record of just kind of this burnout. And, there's several levels to this, but I just love that you talk a bit more about this becoming rather than this grind set and this hustle. I don't know if I'm doing justice in terms of summarizing part of the point of the book, but it's just so poignant.
Yeah, so the book has 12 chapters and it has 13 rituals that you can do in there, like standing in water and knowing something that you're really attached to and then letting it go. And like David R. Hawkins says, surrender is the key to everything. So if you have faith, maybe like the dream you have, something even better will come,
Mm.
right? And then the hows are the domain of the universe. So I started living my life from this perspective. I ended up in Italy, in Venice, in Dubai, then in Switzerland. I'm from Los Angeles area, Santa Barbara. So
Yeah.
I ended up writing 7 books in the last 3 years. I ended up
Right.
training like 250 companies, working with 1,000 people. I kind of just started to assemble the flow of the current and then stream life with it. So I kind of highlight these 2 or 3 extinction level events. Everyone in their life has a moment. Could be the sickness of a relative, could be their own health, could be financial bankruptcy or a car accident, the curveball, right? And in those moments, like it's really hard to see the traumas as something that's a gift. But when I kind of profile in this book and it ties back, it's like you start to see how those were opportunities for wisdom.
Mm.
And I know what you went through is really hard. So it's like kintsugi, that Japanese concept, if you break the dish and then seal it back with
Yes.
gold. And
Yes.
then Khalil Gibran said the most powerful figures in history were seared with scars.
Yeah.
So I realized that that allows me to be wise beyond my years and help and coach people and really relate and empathize on what it feels when your life is splitting in half. And some people almost want to curse God, and other people keep the faith through that painful moment. So, I
Right.
mean, effort is a tricky thing because that was the big problem with The Secret initially is everybody was like sitting in these dark rooms with all these pictures of Ferraris and yachts going
Yeah.
like, I'm rich. And you're like, yeah, but like faith without works is dead essentially,
Mm.
right? So you got to go out and do something, but you can be in a flow state as you do it. So like I love to write and I love to coach and I love to sell and play music and all those states, like, you're in your unique genius because time kind of slows down, that temporal nature, the illusion of time.
Wow.
When you're just like flowing and
Mhm.
like the sun goes up and down, the clock turns backwards.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You talk about these rituals. I think you were touching on that a bit earlier. And, the chapter, I don't mean to kind of rush to the end. The end chapter talks about rituals rather than assignment. Where did that come from for you? Was this lived experience? Was this something that came to you? How did that
Yeah,
come to be?
so I felt like I channeled this book. So I was writing another book. I just finished and put out this book called The Frame about frame psychology and power and status and control. It's kind of a Robert Greene Taleb type book, and the two are kind of sister books. And all this woo-woo stuff kept hitting the cutting room floor. And I had this process called musifestation, music manifestation, where you kind of
Right.
visualize and you kind of, make things feel real with these special frequencies. And
Mm.
people are hip to this. It's very popular on YouTube, but I kind of coined that. And I just felt like there had to be a central practice almost. So initially these were practices, but then I found that practices were even too rote, too processized, too organized. And I felt
Right.
like a ritual is more like flow. It was like water, like
Ah,
Bruce Lee be like, what water? So these rituals are as simple as just kind of like becoming, noticing the tension in your body and changing your breathing. It can be breath work. It can be feeling something that you're holding in place that's so key to your identity, letting it go, writing down things that are so you desire so much, and then burning the paper. And you can do this in the ocean, but you can do it in your shower. But you could,
yeah.
so I've been walking people through these, and it's just very calming to return to yourself. And then you start to look at life almost like it's Christmas morning, where you're excited for the next day.
Uh-huh.
Right? Einstein said you can either see life as everything's a miracle or nothing is, because then you see synchronicities and signs and
Right.
things start to align. So it's hard for people because, I was really defined by I need to get a Grammy Award. And then I was defined by I have to be the best salesperson of all time. Then I have to be the 7-figure coach and I have to sell a book for millions of copies. And so if you surrender that and you love the process and you live in the now, you'll actually feel serene and peaceful and self-acceptance, and you'll
Mm.
be a lot happier. That's the wild piece of this.
That makes sense. That to me, that feels like it ties back to the becoming too, of falling in love with the process and how you're being shaped and molded through the process. The outcome seems like a natural progression of, like you said, doing the works, but not being as obsessed with the outcome, but really, really adoring the process and seeing the miracles for what they are along the way, if I've said that correctly.
Yeah, so the process is usually change your thoughts, change your life from
Mm,
the Buddha, right? And
right.
so it's deeper if you're being something different. If you're the seed of a cherry, you don't grow into a lemon tree from
Mm.
acorns to oaks, right? So if you're who would I have to be? And Steve Hardison says this a lot, but who would I have to be? I change the being. Well, then the thinking changes, then the doing changes, then the results change.
Yeah.
So things, a lot of problems around stress and health and fitness come from deeper ontological issues with consciousness and subconsciousness. And there's all this stuff about before the age of 7 and getting psychotherapy, and I think that's good. But at a certain point, you turn 40 and then you turn 50 and you probably experienced this. Everyone's like, "You're brilliant." And then you're like, everyone's told you you're brilliant. And then you're like, it's time to be that. And I loved Wayne Dyer. He's like, don't die with your music inside you. So I turned 40 and I got this amazing job offer and I didn't take it. And I wrote a book and did consulting, which is very risky. And it worked out. But that's the kind of thing. Do you have a book in you? Do you have to go get a sailboat and do a trip around the islands? Do you want to run a marathon? Like, what's that thing? Like, just had a friend go to Kilimanjaro and climb that. Because the things people regret on their deathbed is never, oh, I wish I had a better grading on my MBA. No, they regret the risks they didn't take and the chances and the shots they didn't take. Because life is short.
Yes. I talk to so many people who are successful in the American culture sense, right? They've got the title, they have the money, but they have no control over their time. They wish they had more time to spend with their children, their hobbies, giving back. And they found that they've placed their ladder against the wrong building. They've been climbing and climbing, and they're at the top or near the top, and they're going, well, wait a minute, what? This isn't so they're searching for this new identity or a way to enhance their
Yeah.
identity. So talking through this being and yeah, dying with your gifts maybe that have not been fully brought to life or to benefit the world. Gosh, it's just a daunting prospect, but it happens all the time.
It's true. So these are powerful concepts and they've been around forever. And it's why I can sit with someone in a very short amount of time, completely change their life because they start to feel what they're holding. They're
Mm,
holding an identity in place. Like my guidance counselor in high school was like, you're not going anywhere. I had like fashion design and band TA. Like I just was trying to do the least amount of work as a musician. So this stuff comes from Heidegger, the philosopher
mhm.
from Germany, which influenced Werner or Erhard from Landmark.
Yeah.
And there's this whole pocket of life coaches that are into it too. Sort of this guy named Steve Hardison wrote the book of Being the Ultimate Coach. So I want to hat tip that. But I still hadn't found a way to like put it into practice. And so for me, being so goal oriented like you and just like hustle and grind and get there, I did that. I outworked everyone. I went from like a junior cold call person up to a top VP of sales. And then I spent another 10 years in the game. I
Yeah.
really got to the top of this industry. And I've actually found that letting go of the identity and the need to fit a certain archetype or outcome then starts to put the faith into a higher purpose and a higher power. And where I connect greatly to Bob Burg's service based prospecting, delivering value, even how you reach out to people, service based coaching, like just trying to give
Yes.
as the central nucleus of your life, always paying it forward, always telling people, not ever being transactional. Someone's in front of me, they're
Yeah.
valuable. What can I learn from them? What can I give to them? Really different orientation, and that's a practice that's really been powerful. I train a lot of salespeople, and it's very alien because they're trying to
Oh,
like hit a number, make the sale. They
yeah.
have commission, and I realized that at 41, I was like a great white shark. I sit in front of someone, I'm like, I'm trying to make this sale. I'm still trying to find an angle, And so now I think, okay, if I never see this person again, I'm going to powerfully serve them, try to change their life, and I'm going to feel good
Yep.
because one of the ways out of suffering is service, and so that there's a book by Melissa Ford called Living Service, and I love that
Mm.
book, and it's very aligned with Bob Burg.
Oh, that's a great recommendation. I'm going to take that down. I'm always looking for a good next book. Can you talk to us a little bit about the magnetic state? This fascinates me. How do people know that they're in it? How does that work? Can you illustrate that a little bit for us?
Yeah, so you hear this word over and over in the book called coherence, and
Mhm.
that's being in alignment. So from a quantum mechanics perspective, there may be like infinite universes, like there's free will, there's ways to align, right? If you're on the frequency of love and gratitude and giving, great things are going to happen. And even if you don't believe in that woo-woo stuff, like you're definitely more charismatic and great to be around. And people are going to like you because you're the optimist and you're seeing how it could be done and how it's possible.
Yeah.
You get into this definite magnetic state, which reflects any of the laws from the law of attraction to the law of assumption to the law of becoming, where synchronicities just occur. It's like that police song by Sting, Synchronicity. And yeah, it's like, so what happened when I'm writing the book, I'll give you an example. So I'm just doing my normal client calls, and this guy in Seattle's like, oh, hey, I'm going to introduce you to Mark Victor Hansen. Well, it turns out Mark Victor Hansen put out Chicken Soup for the Soul with Jack
Right.
Canfield. They sold 500 million, not a typo, books. I mean, The Alchemist did 150 million. So they sold the most. So I get him on a call, and I'm like, wow, I've been listening to the Aladdin Factor and all your tapes for 20 years. And I met Jack a few times. He's like, you got to call the book Rewriting the Law of Attraction, because it was Phoenix Rising. He says, so look at that. Like it's magnetic. Like I'm sitting here. I've never met this man in my life. And 6 weeks ago, maybe 9 weeks ago, I'm in front of him on Zoom, and he's giving me like key insights to where to go. So how's it been for you? Serendipity? Have you had signs? Have miraculous things ever lined up for you?
Without question. But what I found is I have to believe, because to your point, like it feels a little woo woo. I come from a religious Christian tradition. Some of this can seem a little out there, but I don't see the differences and contradictions. I see how they meld together. So whether I believe miracles will happen or whether I believe synchronicities will happen or not, I like the being of believing that that will happen to me. I'm the type of person that that will happen to. For me, has been life changing. I don't know if that sounds a little corny, but
I like
I've
it.
lived it out
And
so many times. Yeah.
one weird thing, my dad used to always say how lucky he was, and he told us how lucky he was. He was lucky. I'm just so weirdly lucky. And we would go to these raffles, and he would get like 3 raffle tickets, and he'd win two over and over. Like it was impossible.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why my story of like meeting Jack Canfield, because I did a favor for a friend and put on this concert for his kid. And then that paid for to meeting Jack. And then within 6 weeks, I meet the Burns. That was like so interesting. So, I mean, if you have faith, things work out. It's that simple.
Right.
But I wanted to give that some legs and a bridge, because this book leads people away from how do I 10x it? What are all the steps to 10x and 2x? And because that felt really anxiety producing to me. I was like,
Yes.
oh, it's not 10xing now, so I must be off the path. And
Yeah.
I love the idea that when you're most off the path, if you zoom out, that's still the path. And that was the J.R.R. Tolkien from The Hobbit. Not all those that wander are lost.
Are lost. Oh,
So
that's
someone feels
beautiful.
lost, but they're on the path. It's funny. This tree only grows here. That's the cool thing about Joshua Tree.
Yes.
It's endemic to that one spot on Earth or Eastern Island, that thing. So I have a lot of faith. I've had to surrender. I've had moments in my life where I felt like I really couldn't go on, where I collapsed. And then the sun rose. And then I had my health, and I remembered, hey, this is a miracle. I'm alive. Health is wealth. Right. And so
Yeah.
coming out of all that, the longest chapter in Wallace Wattles' Science of Getting Rich is gratitude. And that's the first thing
Mm.
Rhonda asked me. She's like, what's the longest chapter? I'm like, gratitude. And so I think her work is very valid. And it's funny, she wrote this thing called The Greatest Secret, and it's all about awareness and detachment and the I am of that am, and being aware of who you are. Like you're not your thoughts, your mind, your body. You're this higher force that's connected everything, I believe, at least. And so I feel like she's at that place now. But a lot of the law of attraction books and thinking, it misses this core and deeper component. And so I think for people that love that, don't reject my book. Just do that too. Just
Yeah.
let it be the roots of the tree.
Yes. I love this idea. Sometimes it's not this or that, it's it's together.
Combination.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. What I also love, I keep referring to, we had such a great conversation before we hit record. I should have recorded it, but I love that you mentioned, your book and these concepts, even if you don't come from a religious or a spiritual background, there's science behind this. The reticular activating system, for example, is real. What we decide to point our brain to, is what we recognize and what we start to see opportunities. I'd love for you to expand on that. But I just love kind of the inclusiveness of these concepts, regardless
Yeah.
of what kind of tradition
Yeah.
you come from.
The book is very much non-denominational
Yeah.
and bring all sides to the table. So one of the ideas I had was the polygraph, the lie detector. So you take someone and you say, because you're about abundance and wealth and things. So let's just make it monetary. You sit with someone and say, okay, you earn 100,000 a year. And they go, yeah. Goes, okay, not a lie. You earn 2 times 1,000 a year. Shakes a little. You earn 500,000 a year. Lie. Right. So this is like the nervous system and the belief and the conscious belief. And so one, okay, be open to the fact that you could be that you could do it, right?
Yeah.
Trust that you can. Look at the areas where you've won. The brain is a supercomputer, still more powerful than AI. If you
Yeah.
set it on a task, it starts to work in the background and you end up tapping more elements of it. There's definitely an aura and positive frequencies coming off of the brain and the aura of the body. Quantum mechanics is fascinating, even quantum entanglement, where we can, our thoughts can influence each other even from a distance. Someone in, LA and Japan. Then there's these experiments by Dr. Emoto where he plays emotions onto water and watches the crystals. So he plays love onto water and it crystallizes beautifully. Our bodies are 70% water. Water is a living thing. And so all that's very powerful to say that, your attitude, your outlook, but your belief, your intentionality, and how you perceive yourself. So you have 70,000 negative thoughts a day. 80% of them are repetitive because we're these upright, beasts that go, ooh, saber-toothed tiger, but it's just, a horn hogging.
Yeah.
Your identity, what you decide about yourself overrides that. So you can have a bad day. You can't sit there just mind controlling yourself all the time. And that's what
Right.
people try to do. They're like, no, a bad thought, back away. It's like this thing. And we would always joke about that actually with Rhonda. And she has tremendous discipline doing that. But
Mm.
don't worry if you have a negative thought, because if the belief is strong in who you are, right? That's like in Atomic Habits. If you decided your identity is a chain smoker, I can sit with you for 3 months with a gun to your head and go like, stop smoking. And then it's
Right.
going to be a prison break on that 91st day. You're
Yeah,
going to go
truly.
find the cigarette, so you have to decide you're fit and decide you're healthy and decide you're a non-smoker, you're alcohol free, and then live from that place and that identity. And it can change. That's why Maxwell Maltz was such a cool book, because he was a plastic surgeon.
Mhm.
So he would take the scar off a woman's face, but she would still feel insecure and bad because the thoughts and the identity shifts that had come from that hadn't been healed or shifted.
Remarkable how much inner work happens, right? A lot of us are taught to
Yeah,
just be so externally focused when in reality, I mean, we've just scratched the surface here, but so much we can be done internally to change our reality. And it starts with being.
it's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a tiny little book. You can read it in one sitting. Most people cry. I did when I edited it. Most people read it 2 or 3 or 5 times.
Yes.
There's bonus materials, little rituals you can do to cement it in. It maybe won't change your whole life in one sitting, but you'll reflect on your life and it'll expose the truth of kind of your inner intuition and your knowingness. The beauty is you don't have to change who you are. You have to sort of carve the angel from the marble. You have to break
Mm.
away the chains and cut away. It's like the baby elephant in the rusty chain. Like, it's a huge elephant, can't break the chain. Like, yeah, you can just kick the chain. So
Yep.
people have been reading this thing and writing me like 3 pages of responses or saying it was like the most impactful book,
Mm.
because I think it empowers them, it validates things, and it allows them to reinvent themselves and to start a new chapter of their lives toward their dream, or maybe a bigger dream that they didn't even know they had, and to be okay with that. And
Wow.
Jack used to say that. He would always say in his affirmations, I want this or something better.
Yes. Yes. Oh, this or something better is so powerful. Justin, for people, just one last word of wisdom, but for someone listening right now that just feels exhausted from the hustle, from chasing the life that they want, you've given us a lot of wisdom, but just one last kind of word of advice or encouragement for them today as we close this out.
Well, a lot of people who become millionaires are between 55 and 65 years old. Think of the Game of Thrones author, and he was 62, I think, when
Yeah.
that breakout series happens. He
Mhm.
struggled his whole life until that happened. So you're never too old to start your next act and reinvent yourself. And as long as you have, breath, you have life, and you have a shot. So this book, you can create anything in the next 2, 3 years, in the next 9 months, if you look at it that way, because we're all powerful creators. I'd say start to be present to your physicality and the anxiety you hold.
Mm.
We're fear-based, a lot of us, and we have a lot of fear, and it's like love is the most powerful. So if you can focus on your breathing, if you can tap into a loving place, you have to forgive yourself. You got to love yourself. You got to let go of all your resentments. You got to find the people you dislike the most
Mm,
and love them and pray for them. And this is like
yeah,
real radical work because
yeah.
that clears the quantum field, that clears the negative energy that you're storing and holding. You're Sisyphean sort of pushing this rock. So that's other cool stuff. I love this thing called Ho'oponopono. Do you like it? It's from Hawaii.
Yes.
It's like
Yep.
this little blessing you say. That's a book called Zero Limits I love. So I've read so much of this stuff, but I finally gave me a chance after 20 years of doing it. Grab the book, sit down and read it one time, once for information, twice for transformation, and reach out, leave a review if you're inspired. And it's just great to be on the show.
I love it. Yeah, I've only done my first read through. It definitely felt like I needed several more to fully absorb and put into practice. But Justin, thank you so much for joining us today. What's the best way for folks to get a hold of you if they want to work with you or talk more?
Yes, I'm quite visible. You can catch me pretty quickly on Amazon to find all my books. I've written 10 of them. And then I'm usually on LinkedIn. So if you just, ping me there, you can get a hold of me. And yeah, I would love to hear how this impacted your life.
Brilliant. Well, thank you again so much for being so generous with your knowledge and your experience and these books. I'm going to have to pick up a couple more, but really grateful to meet with you and add value to our audience today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon. Secrets to Abundant Living podcast community. You have heard it before. Real estate is all about location, 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 right? But now it is also about timing, and the timing has never been better. When the Fed tripled interest rates in 2022, investors who took on short term bridge debt in 21, 22, and 23, they got caught. And those loans are maturing now, and some of those owners, unfortunately, are in trouble. This means discounted apartment deals are hitting the market in 2026 and 2027. We're having lots of interesting conversations with lenders who are taking back properties. And savvy commercial real estate investors are going to want to be ready to scoop up those properties. That's why I'm hosting a free 3-part passive investor masterclass to give you the step-by-step blueprint that I use, that other passive investors have successfully used to analyze these investment opportunities like a pro. My goal is to make you feel safe, prepared, and that you can make the best decision for yourself and your wealth. The first live session is Wednesday, April 8th at 11 a.m. Pacific. Spots are limited, so I want you to save your spot today. The link is in the show notes. Don't miss this window, and I'm really excited to see you at this live masterclass training.